Hello, everyone, and welcome back for our next edition of International Development 101 with Global Brigades. So today we're super excited. Here I have Morghan with me. Morghan, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Morghan Sieracki. I'm a program associate working with Global Brigades. My role is primarily working with volunteers and in-country teams to coordinate brigades and prepare volunteers for their time in country.
And I'm Tess Niehoff. I'm the E100 project manager. I work managing the E100. So we're glad to have you guys with us today. And we have a very special guest, Denis Gaitan. Denis, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello everyone. I'm Denis Gaitan. I am the Executive Director of Global Brigades Nicaragua and the manager of Monitoring Evaluation Team. I have been working for Global Brigades since 5 years ago, working in many areas. So Global Brigades is, as you know, is a non-profit organization that works to alleviate poverty in rural communities of Nicaragua.
Great, thank you, Denis. All right, I will turn it over to Morghan to start our interview.
All right, let's get started. Denis, could you tell us about historical events in Nicaragua that may have affected the development of the country up to today? This could range from physical factors such as natural disasters to political factors such as war, corruption, colonialism, to social factors such as discrimination or overpopulation.
Well, many events have affected the development in Nicaragua in recent history, in the political, social, and natural fields. We have been vulnerable to natural disasters. For example, we had 2 earthquakes that have destroyed the capital in the 20th century in Nicaragua. We have had recent armed conflicts. The last one was in the 80s, caused by internal and external ideological interests. But for me, there is an event or historical factor that has been the main cause of poverty in Nicaragua, according to my point of view. This is power struggles and power relations in politics, in which local elites have historically controlled the power to the detriment of the vast majority of the population. So the national elite have been concerned with their interests and perpetuating their power, leaving aside the needs of the vast majority of the population. That is why throughout our history, we have seen discriminatory relationships and we have had unequal access to opportunities to achieve well-being. In this sense, the states in Nicaragua throughout history has not responded to the true need of the population. So that is, the main factor, internal main factors, and this happened since the independence in 19th centuries in Nicaragua. This is part of the heritage of the colonialism culture that we have had here in the past. So, and we are still struggling with this culture of concentrate power and this culture of corruption in politics levels. There are another factors, external factors, a combination of both, which is related to the geographical position of Nicaragua, which has historically attracted external interest in our natural resources, which is why we have also had interventions in companies that have controlled the wealth of our country along with local elites. As I mentioned, elites all the time have been involved with external external and internal interest to control the wealth in the country and power. All of this to the detriment of the vast majority of the population. We have had wars. The cause of the war has been politics, power control in Nicaragua. We have had natural disaster, but the response against those natural disaster has been influenced by this interest in the political level.
I want to dive in there for 1 second and encourage any volunteers that are listening. Definitely, if you're interested in what Denis has been saying, do a little bit of your own research into the banana republics, because that is a theme of history or a historical period that has really impacted both Nicaragua, but also Honduras and Panama as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That is part of our recent history. The last 100 years in Nicaragua, a history of interventions and all of these external factor interests, foreign interests that has been present in Nicaragua and the history of Nicaragua, that has been one of the causes that the development in Nicaragua has not grown. So yeah, that's in general.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much for touching on those factors. The next thing I wanted to ask you is how you think those events, among others, have impacted the development of the country to today.
Yeah, I would mention many consequences of this. We can see in Nicaragua an increase of social inequality. That is one of the characteristics of Latin America, of all the countries in Latin America, social inequality. The wealth is concentrated in a few hands. The informal economy, a large sector of the population works informally and without social benefits. So we haven't worked as a country in these social aspects, these large social aspects. The other thing is migration. People have to migrate to the other countries to look for job opportunities. The positive side is that this injects capital into the economy through international remittances. The other thing is the widespread corruption in public administration, regardless of the ideology that holds the power. There is no left or right. Everything obeys a structure of interest and privilege. This high-level corruption is also transferred to other levels in society. Other thing is the limited investment in education and health, since it's considered an expense and not an investment. So that is one thing that we can see in our society. And now, COVID-19, we can see more that all the weaknesses of our health system in Nicaragua. So the other thing is the lack of clear strategy, comprehensive development program. For example, the current government is more interested in creating political clients than creating true process of change. Other thing is, in general, we have a culture of violence. So that is consequence of this history of interest, of the power struggle in Nicaragua. That is in general, and how these events or historical factor has impacted the development in our country.
Right, and it's really interesting for us to hear from you and your perspective, like how those historical events have played into today. The other thing I wanted to ask you is what are the largest areas of development in Nicaragua that have advanced in the last 5 years?
Yeah, that is a good question. We have seen a lot of development in tourism. It developed in recent years. This has we have been able with this big sector to create more jobs in the country, and has improved a lot with this. The other thing is the exports of coffee, meat has increased in the last 5 years. The foreign direct investments too has been something visible in our country in the 5 years. And the service sector has improved a lot. So it's something that we can easily see here in Nicaragua. Access to communication technology are other areas that have advanced in the last year. So we have more connection now. We have more possibility to communicate, more a chance to get information through internet access. So this is because we have had a big advance in internet access in the country in the last 5 years. But these, if you see, are areas of an economy. I haven't mentioned in here social advance because this is like still a pending task country.
Denis, what are the largest areas of development in Nicaragua that you would like to see improved in the next 5 years?
That's a good question.
I would like to see changes in politics in general, in the government. People in Nicaragua want solid institutions that responds to the true needs of the populations. Currently, the decisions are made by the president and his wife, so we have an ongoing dictatorships. All the institutions are not working very well in Nicaragua because all of them respond to the needs or to the decision of two people in Nicaragua. Education. We want quality educations without partisan influences. Education is important for development. This includes the improvement of the salaries and skills of the teachers, especially in primary and secondary schools. Health. Access to health and medicines. More investment in preventions. That is one thing that we need in the country. With COVID-19, we are proving our health system, and we are not in good conditions. We realize that. Climate change and risk management, that's another area. We need a national strategy to face climate change and the risk management. This includes a plan for the use or rational use of natural resources, job opportunities through foreign investments, and the promotion of entrepreneurship in Nicaragua too.
Thank you. Now that we've touched lightly on the context of history and how this played into development, what do you think of Global Brigade's role in that?
I have been working for Global Brigades since 5 years ago, and I consider that the proposal of Global Brigade is very, very alternative because it's integral, it's holistic, so it's a comprehensive model, including a large areas that need to be developed in Nicaragua. Health, water, sanitation, and economic development are pending areas that need to be improved in our country and are very, very essential to improve people's living conditions. It is certainly a great contribution of Global Brigade in that sense. As a Nicaraguan, we have seen that in our communities when people, for example, get access to clean water, that is very, very important for our communities. Water is in the center of the development of the community. So we're delivering projects, we are delivering program that we can see the improvement in the communities. I mean, all our programs as a Global Brigades have this aspect of integrality, and is very important. It has been important for the development in Nicaragua, not only in health, but also in economics, because we are also proposing a model to mobilize the economic dynamic of the community. So that is very important for our country in general. So, and that is one thing that I like, this integrality, because not all the organizations have this integrality.
Great. Thank you, Denis.
Well, thank you for that. It's really interesting to hear that from your perspective, and especially with you and the rest of the local staff in Nicaragua working right now without volunteers in country. I'd like to also thank you for taking the time and energy to share that perspective with us. It's really important for us to understand the past in order to understand the present. Thank you, Tess, also for facilitating this and all your support with it. And we'd like to thank our listeners for joining. If you do have additional questions or you're interested in continuing this conversation, please reach out to your program associate or the administration email through Global Brigade's website. We wish you luck with the rest of your brigade planning process.